The shuttle shook as it entered the docking bay of RN7. Una Park held onto the armrest and looked out the small window. The station was massive. It floated in the darkness of space like a giant metal flower with hundreds of lights blinking on its surface. She had waited 3 years for this posting. 3 years of training, paperwork, and endless interviews. Now she was finally here. The first human logistics officer to work on Orin-7. The shuttle landed with a soft thud. Una grabbed her bag and walked toward the exit. The door slid open, and she stepped into a world she had only seen in pictures. The docking bay was full of aliens. There were tall ones, short ones, ones with scales, and ones with too many eyes. Some walked on 2 legs. Others floated. A few crawled on the walls. Una had studied all the species in her training, but seeing them in person was different. She noticed something strange right away. Everyone was looking at her. A group of small, blue-skinned creatures stopped talking and stared. A large being with 4 arms turned its head to watch her pass. Even the station workers paused their work to look at her. Una kept walking. She was used to attention. Humans were still rare in this part of the galaxy. A tall, insect-like creature approached her. It had 6 limbs, large black eyes, and thin wings folded against its back. Its body was covered in a hard, brown shell. "Lieutenant Park?" the creature asked. Its voice was soft and clicking. "That's me," Una said with a smile. "I am Vol. I will be your liaison during your time on Orin-7. Welcome to the station." Vol extended one of its limbs. Una shook it carefully. The shell felt cool and smooth. "Thank you, Vol. I'm happy to be here." Vol's large eyes blinked several times. "We have prepared your quarters. The temperature has been set to exactly 25 degrees. We have also installed additional climate controls. If you feel any discomfort, please inform me immediately." Una raised an eyebrow. 25 degrees is fine. That's normal for humans." Yes, Vol said quickly. "We want you to be comfortable. Humans are sensitive, we understand." Una did not know what that meant, but she decided not to ask. She followed Vol through the busy corridors of the station. As they walked, Una noticed more stairs. Aliens whispered to each other as she passed. Some even stepped back to give her extra space. One small creature actually ran away when she got too close. "Is something wrong?" Una asked. Vol made a clicking sound. "Wrong? No. The residents are simply curious. Humans do not visit Orin-7 often." They arrived at a large door. Vol pressed a button and it slid open. "Your quarters," Vol announced. Una walked inside. The room was bigger than she expected. There was a bed, a desk, and a large window showing the stars outside. Everything looked clean and new, but there was something else. In the corner sat a machine with blinking lights. Next to the bed was another device. And near the window was a third. "What are all these?" Una asked. "Climate monitors," Vol explained. "They will track the temperature of your room at all times. If it changes by more than half a degree, an alarm will sound." Una stared at the machines. "Half a degree? That seems extreme." Vol's wings twitched. "Humans are thermally unstable, yes? We must be careful. A sudden change in temperature could harm you." Una opened her mouth to argue, but then she stopped. She understood now. The aliens thought humans were fragile. They believed that small temperature changes could hurt her. She almost laughed. Back on Earth, she had gone swimming in frozen lakes. She had hiked through deserts. Once, she had eaten ice cream in a sauna just to win a bet. But she did not say any of this. Instead, she smiled. "Thank you, Vol. This is very thoughtful." Vol seemed relieved. "You are welcome. If you need anything, please contact me." I will check on you every few hours to make sure you are well. After Vol left, Yuna sat on the bed and pulled out her communicator. She typed a message to Taiho Quan, a human engineer who worked on a ship nearby. Just arrived at Orange 7. The aliens think I'm going to die if the room gets cold. A few minutes later, Taiho replied, Ha! Classic. They did the same thing to me. Wait until they see you eat something frozen. They'll lose their minds. Yuna grinned. She had heard stories about how aliens treated humans, but she had not believed them until now. She stood up and walked to the window. Outside, ships moved slowly between the station's many docking ports. Distant stars twinkled in the black sky. This was her new home. A place where aliens thought she was made of glass. A place where drinking cold water might cause a panic. She was going to have fun here. The next morning, Yuna reported to her new office. Vol was there, waiting with another alien. This one was different. It was tall, covered in green scales, and had sharp yellow eyes. A long tail dragged behind it as it moved. Lieutenant Park, Vol said. This is Kellis. He's a merchant from the Sarin Trade Guild. He will be working with you on cargo matters. Kellis looked Yuna up and down. His eyes were cold. So this is the human, he said. His voice was deep and rough. Smaller than I expected. Yuna held out her hand. Nice to meet you. Kellis stared at her hand but did not shake it. Your kind is not built for this work. You are too weak. Too soft. Vol made nervous clicking sounds. Kellis, please. But Kellis continued. I have read about humans. You cannot survive in heat. You cannot survive in cold. A strong wind could break your bones. Yuna kept her smile. Is that what you believe? It is what I know. Yuna lowered her hand. Then I guess I'll have to show you something different. Kellis snorted and walked away. Vol apologized many times, but Yuna told him not to worry. She had dealt with difficult people before. A rude lizard was not going to ruin her day, but as she watched Kellis leave, she made a silent promise. One day, she would make him understand just how wrong he was, and that day would come sooner than anyone expected. 3 days passed on Orange 7. Yuna learned the layout of the station quickly. She memorized the paths to her office, the medical bay, and the main trading halls. She met dozens of alien species and remembered most of their names. But one thing bothered her every single day. The food. Everything was warm. The water was warm. The soup was warm. Even the fruit was served at room temperature. Nothing was cold. Nothing was hot. Everything was perfectly, boringly lukewarm. On the 4th day, Yuna sat in the station mess hall. It was a large room with long tables and strange chairs designed for many different body types. Aliens of all kinds sat together, eating meals that looked nothing like human food. Vol sat across from her. He watched her eat with great interest, as if she might explode at any moment. Is the food acceptable? Vol asked. Yuna poked at something that looked like purple meat. It's fine, but I was wondering, do you have anything cold? Like ice water? Or chilled juice? Vol froze, his wings pressed flat against his back. His large eyes grew even larger. Cold? He repeated. Yes, cold. You know, below room temperature. Vol looked around nervously. Lieutenant Park, I do not think that would be wise. Cold substances are dangerous. Before Yuna could respond, a rough voice spoke from behind her. Dangerous? That is putting it lightly. Kellis walked over and sat down at their table. He dropped a tray of food in front of him. His yellow eyes stared at Yuna with something between amusement and pity. The human wants cold water, Vol explained quietly. Kellis let out a harsh laugh. Of course she does. She does not understand. Yuna crossed her arms. Understand what? Kellis leaned forward. Listen carefully, human. I will explain this simply so you can follow. All warm-blooded creatures have a core temperature. Yes, Una said, and that temperature must stay stable. If it drops too fast or rises too fast, your organs will fail. Your blood will thicken. Your heart will stop. Kellis tapped the table with one clawed finger. This is basic biology. Una nodded slowly. Okay, so? Kellis continued. If you drink something cold, the liquid enters your stomach. Your stomach is warm. The cold liquid causes thermal shock. Your internal organs cannot handle the sudden change. You will experience pain, then seizures, then death. Una stared at him. Death? From drinking cold water? Not just water. Anything below 10 degrees is lethal. This is true for most species in the galaxy. It is well documented. Kellis sat back, looking satisfied with himself. This is why we do not give you cold things. We are protecting you. Una did not know what to say. She looked at Vol, who nodded sadly. It is true, Vol said. My people can only survive within a 4-degree temperature range. Any change beyond that is fatal. Most species are similar. Now Una understood. These aliens lived in very narrow conditions. They could not handle heat. They could not handle cold. Their bodies were not built to adapt, and they thought humans were the same. She almost told them the truth. She almost explained that humans could swim in frozen oceans and walk through burning deserts. That they ate ice cream and drank hot coffee sometimes in the same meal. That their bodies could adjust to almost any environment. But something stopped her. A small voice in her head told her to wait, to watch, to see how far this misunderstanding went. Thank you for explaining, Una said carefully. I did not know this. Kellis grunted. Now you do. Be grateful we are looking out for you. After lunch, Una returned to her quarters and called Taiho. His face appeared on her screen. He was grinning before she even spoke. Let me guess, he said. They gave you the thermal shock lecture. Una laughed. How did you know? Every human gets it. The aliens are convinced that drinking cold water will kill us. Some of them even think hot showers are dangerous. Hot showers? Yep. On my ship, the crew tried to ban me from using water above 30 degrees. Said I would cook myself alive. Taiho shook his head. I had to show them videos of humans in saunas before they believed me. Una leaned back in her chair. So what? Do I do? Just go along with it? Taiho thought for a moment. That's up to you. Some humans correct them right away. Others wait for the perfect moment. He smiled. Personally, I like the second option. The reactions are much better. What do you mean? I mean, imagine their faces when they see you do something they think is impossible. Like eating ice cream or drinking from a frozen bottle. Taiho laughed. I once bit into an ice cube in front of a Marathi diplomat. The poor guy fainted. Una grinned. She liked the sound of that. All right, she said. I'll wait for the right moment. Good choice. Just make sure someone is watching. Trust me, you'll want witnesses. After the call ended, Una sat quietly for a while. She thought about what she had learned. The aliens were not trying to be mean. They were genuinely worried about her. They believed they were saving her life by keeping everything lukewarm. It was almost sweet in a strange way, but it was also frustrating. Una missed cold drinks. She missed the feeling of ice water on a hot day. She missed the simple pleasure of biting into something frozen. She opened her bag and pulled out a small portable cooler. Inside were 3 bottles of water. She had brought them from the shuttle, planning to freeze them once she arrived. Tomorrow, she thought, tomorrow I will find a freezer. And when the time is right, I will show these aliens what humans are really made of. The next day, Una discovered that the station did have freezers. They were used to store certain chemicals and alien foods. With a little asking around, she found one that was not being watched. She slipped her bottles inside and set them to freeze. Now she just had to wait for the perfect moment. She did not have to wait long. 2 days later, a message arrived from Vol. Lieutenant Park, your presence is requested at an important meeting. Trade negotiations between 3 species. Please report to Chamber 7 immediately. Yuna smiled. She grabbed her cooler and headed out. The moment was coming. She could feel it dot, and when it arrived, no one on Orange 7 would ever look at humans the same way again. Chamber 7 was the largest meeting room on Orange 7. It had high ceilings, curved walls, and a round table in the center that could seat 30 beings. Today, it held only 12. Yuna entered quietly and found her seat near the edge. Vol sat beside her, his wings twitching with nervous energy. Across the table sat Kellis, looking bored and annoyed as usual, but it was the third group that caught Yuna's attention. They were called the Thelki. Yuna had read about them in her training. They were amphibious creatures with smooth, wet skin and wide mouths. Their eyes sat on the sides of their heads like fish. They breathed through gills on their necks, and they needed heat to survive. The room was hot. Very hot. Yuna guessed it was close to 40 degrees. The air felt thick and heavy. Sweat already formed on her forehead. The Thelki delegation was led by a female named Mora. She was larger than the others, with dark blue skin and bright orange eyes. She spoke slowly and carefully, her voice bubbling like water in a pipe. We cannot accept these terms, Mora said. The cargo fees are too high. My people will not pay. Kellis slammed his hand on the table. The fees are fair. If your people cannot afford them, that is not our problem. Mora's gills flared. You insult us. The Soren have always been greedy. Kellis bared his teeth. And the Thelki have always been poor. The room went silent. Vol made soft clicking sounds of distress. Other aliens shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Yuna watched the argument carefully. She had seen many negotiations in her training. This one was going badly. Both sides were angry. Neither was willing to give ground, and the heat was making everything worse. Yuna wiped her forehead. Her uniform stuck to her back. She could feel her body temperature rising. Normally, she would handle this easily. Humans were good at managing heat. But the room was designed for Thelki, not humans. There was no cool air. No fans. Nothing to help her regulate. Vol noticed her discomfort. He leaned over and whispered, Lieutenant Park, are you well? You are sweating. I'm fine, Yuna said. Just warm. Vol looked worried. I will request they lower the temperature. No, Yuna said quickly. The Thelki needed hot. I don't want to cause problems. Vol hesitated but nodded. The argument continued. Kellis and Mora traded insults back and forth. Numbers were thrown around. Threats were made. Nothing was accomplished. Yuna felt her throat getting dry. She had not had water since morning. She looked at the table, hoping to find a drink, but there was nothing. Then she remembered. Her cooler. It sat by her feet, tucked under the table. Inside were her frozen bottles. She had planned to wait for a special moment. A moment when everyone would see. But right now, she was hot and thirsty and tired of lukewarm everything. Maybe this was the moment. She bent down and opened the cooler. Inside sat one bottle. It was covered in frost. Ice crystals clung to the surface. When she touched it, the cold bit into her fingers. It was perfect. Yuna placed the bottle on the table. The frost began to melt immediately, leaving water drops on the surface. A small cloud of cold vapor rose from the cap. Vol saw it first. His whole body went stiff. His wings pressed so flat against his back, they almost disappeared. Lieutenant Park, he whispered. What is that? Water, Una said simply. But it is. It is frozen. Almost. Close to 0 degrees, I think. Val's clicking became frantic. You cannot drink that. The thermal shock. You will die. The argument at the table stopped. Kellis turned his head. Mora's gills stopped moving. Everyone stared at the frosted bottle in Una's hand. Is that ice? Kellis asked slowly. Una shrugged. Just cold water? Just cold water? Kellis stood up, his tail swinging behind him. Human, do you understand what you are holding? If you drink that, your internal organs will freeze. Your heart will stop within seconds. Mora rose as well. Her orange eyes were wide with something that looked like fear. The Soren is right. Put it down, please. Una looked around the room. Every alien was watching her. Some looked scared. Some looked confused. Val looked like he might faint. She thought about explaining. She thought about telling them that humans did this every day. That back on Earth, people drank ice water at every meal. That children ate frozen treats in the summer sun. But words would not be enough. They would not believe her. They spent too long thinking humans were fragile. She needed to show them. Una twisted the cap off the bottle. The sound echoed in the silent room. Cold air poured from the opening. Lieutenant Park, no! Val cried. Una raised the bottle to her lips. She tilted her head back. And she drank. The water was so cold it hurt. It rushed down her throat like liquid ice. She felt it hit her stomach, felt the chill spread through her chest. It was the best thing she had tasted in weeks. She did not stop until the bottle was empty. When she lowered it, the room was silent. No one moved. No one breathed. Every alien stared at her with pure horror. Then Val's scream. It was a high-pitched clicking sound that hurt Una's ears. He jumped from his seat and ran toward her, his limbs waving wildly. Medical emergency, he shouted. Medical emergency. Human down. Human down. Kellis stumbled backward, knocking over his chair. She drank it. She drank the whole thing. She drank the whole thing. Mora's gills flapped rapidly. Is she dead? She must be dead. Una stood there, holding the empty bottle, completely fine. A little cold, maybe, but alive. Very much alive. I'm okay, she said. No one heard her. The room had erupted into chaos. Alarms were sounding. Aliens were running in circles. Someone called for a medical team. Someone else called for a priest. Una sat back down and waited. She let out a small burp from drinking too fast. She had wanted to make an impression. But maybe she had made it a little too well. Within minutes, the medical team arrived. They rushed into the chamber with stretchers and scanning devices and bags full of equipment Una did not recognize. A small alien with 4 eyes approached her carefully. Human, can you hear me? Do not move. We are here to help. I don't need help, Una said. I feel fine. The alien did not listen. It pressed a device against her chest. Lights blinked. Numbers appeared on a screen. The alien looked at the numbers, then looked at Una, then looked at the numbers again. This cannot be right, it whispered. What does it say? Kellis demanded. The medical alien swallowed hard. Normal. Everything is normal. Core temperature stable. Heart rate steady. No signs of shock. No organ damage. The room went quiet again. Mora stepped forward. Her voice was barely a whisper. How? Una smiled and held up the empty bottle. Humans are built different. The news spread across Orange 7 in less than an hour. A human had drunk ice water. Sub-zero liquid, the kind of thing that killed most species instantly. And she had survived. Not just survived, but smiled and asked for more. Una sat in the medical bay while doctors ran test after test. They scanned her stomach. They checked her blood. They measured her temperature from 12 different angles. Every result came back the same. Perfectly healthy. The head medical officer was a creature called Das. She had gray skin, no eyes, and 2 long arms that ended in dozens of tiny fingers. She had worked in medicine for 200 years and thought she had seen everything until today. I do not understand, Das said for the 5th time. The liquid was measured at 2 degrees. 2 degrees. That should have caused immediate tissue damage. Una shrugged. Humans do this all the time. We drink cold things every day. Every day? Sometimes multiple times a day. Especially in summer. Das made a sound like air escaping from a balloon. This changes everything we know about your species. Outside the medical bay, a crowd had gathered. Aliens pressed against the windows, trying to see the human who had cheated death. Guards had to push them back to keep the hallways clear. Vol stood by Una's side. He had not left her since the incident. His wings trembled constantly, and his clicking had become so soft it was almost silent. "I thought you were dead," he said quietly. "When you drank that water, I thought I was watching you die." Una felt bad for scaring him. "I'm sorry, Vol. I should have warned you. Why did you not tell us? Why did you let us believe you were like us?" Una thought about the question. "I'm not sure. Maybe I wanted to see how you would react. Maybe I was waiting for the right moment." She paused. "Or maybe I was just really thirsty." Vol made a clicking sound that might have been a laugh. The door to the medical bay slid open. Kellis walked in. His scales were dull, his eyes tired. He moved slowly, like a creature who had not slept in days. He stopped in front of Una and said nothing for a long moment. "I owe you an apology," he finally said. Una raised an eyebrow. "Do you? I called you weak, soft, fragile." Kellis lowered his head. "I was wrong. I judged your species without understanding it. That was foolish of me." Una stood up from the medical bed. She was shorter than Kellis, but she met his eyes without fear. "Thank you," she said. "That means a lot." Kellis nodded slowly. "What else can your people do? What other secrets are you hiding?" Una smiled. "Where do I start? We can survive in deserts that would kill your kind in minutes. We can swim in oceans so cold that ice floats on the surface. Some humans have climbed the highest mountains on our planet with barely any equipment. Others have run for days without stopping." Kellis stared at her. "Days without stopping? There's a race on Earth called an ultramarathon. Humans run for hundreds of miles. They sleep for a few hours, then keep running." The room went quiet. Even Das stopped her test to listen. "Your species," Kellis said slowly, "is terrifying." The door opened again. This time, Mora entered. The Thelki leader moved carefully, her wet skin glistening under the medical lights. Behind her came 2 guards and a small assistant carrying a data tablet. "Lieutenant Park," Mora said. Her voice was formal but warm. "I request a private conversation." Una looked at Vol and Kellis. They understood and stepped back. Mora approached until she was close enough for Una to smell the salt on her skin. Her orange eyes studied Una with new interest. "I have read the old records on humans," Mora said. "The Galactic database says your species is weak, fragile, unable to survive outside a narrow range of conditions." "The records are wrong," Una said. "Yes, I see that now." Mora paused. "The Thelki have been looking for allies. Strong allies. Species that can survive where we cannot. Species that can adapt." Una understood where this was going. "You want to work with humans. I want to learn more about your people. What you showed today was remarkable. If humans can truly survive such extremes, then you may be the most valuable species in the galaxy. Yuna considered this carefully. She was just a logistics officer. She had no authority to make deals or form alliances. But she knew an opportunity when she saw one. "I can't promise anything," she said, "but I can connect you with the right people." Mora's gills fluttered. That is all I ask. After Mora left, Yuna finally got permission to leave the medical bay. She walked through the corridors of Orin 7, and everything felt different. Aliens no longer avoided her. They did not step back or whisper in fear. Instead, they watched her with something new in their eyes. Curiosity, respect, wonder. A small creature with purple fur approached her shyly. "Excuse me," it said. "Are you the human who drank the frozen water?" "Yes," Yuna said. The creature's eyes went wide. "Can you teach me to do that?" Yuna laughed softly. "Sorry, your body is not built for it." The creature looked disappointed but nodded. "Humans are amazing," it said before running away. Yuna continued walking. She passed the trading halls, the observation deck, the docking bays. Everywhere she went, she heard whispers. Her name was on everyone's lips. The human. The one who drank ice. The one who should have died but didn't. She found a quiet spot near a window and stood there alone. Stars filled the view. Ships moved in the distance. The universe stretched out before her, endless and full of possibilities. Her communicator buzzed. It was Taiho. "I heard what happened," he said. "Ice water in a meeting room? That's bold, even for a human." Yuna grinned. "I didn't plan it. It just sort of happened." "Well, it worked. I'm getting messages from aliens all over the sector. They want to know what else humans can do." Taiho laughed. "I think you just rewrote the galactic record on our species." Yuna looked out at the stars. Good. It was long overdue. She ended the call and stood in silence. The station hummed around her. Aliens moved through the corridors, living their lives, carrying their own stories. And somewhere in all of this, humans had finally earned their place. Not through weapons. Not through war. Just through surviving something everyone else thought was impossible. Yuna smiled to herself, thought it was a good start. But she had a feeling this was only the beginning. 1 week had passed since the incident in Chamber 7. In that time, everything on Orin 7 had changed. The story of the human who drank frozen water had traveled far beyond the station. Ships carried the tale to distant worlds. News feeds broadcasted across the galaxy. Scientists debated it. Politicians discussed it. Children asked their parents if it was real. And at the center of it all was Yuna Park. She walked through the station's main corridor, and aliens greeted her by name. They waved. They bowed. Some even stopped to shake her hand, a gesture they had learned was important to humans. Vol walked beside her, his wings held high with pride. He had become something of a celebrity himself. Everyone wanted to meet the alien who had witnessed the impossible firsthand. "There is another message for you," Vol said, checking his tablet. "The Bar Science Academy wants to study human temperature regulation. They are offering generous funding." Yuna smiled. "Tell them I'll think about it." "That is what you said to. The last 12 requests. Then tell them I'm still thinking." Vol made a clicking sound that Yuna now recognized as laughter. They reached the station commander's office. The door was tall and carved with symbols from a dozen different cultures. 2 guards stood outside, both of them nodding respectfully as Yuna approached. "The commander will see you now," one guard said. The office inside was large but simple. A desk sat in the center, covered in data screens and papers. Behind it stood the station commander, an elderly creature named Pavos. He had soft white fur, 4 arms, and eyes that seemed to see everything at once. "Lieutenant Park, Pavo said warmly. Please, sit. Yuna took a seat across from him. Vol stood near the door. Pavo studied her for a moment. You have caused quite a stir, young human. I have run this station for 40 years, and I have never seen anything like the reaction to your little demonstration. It wasn't supposed to cause trouble, Yuna said. Trouble? Pavos laughed softly. You misunderstand. What you did was remarkable. You showed us that our assumptions were wrong. That is valuable. He pressed a button on his desk. A hologram appeared in the air between them. It showed text, charts, and images that Yuna did not recognize. This is the Galactic Species Database, Pavos explained. Every known species in the galaxy has an entry. Facts about their biology, culture, capabilities. For 300 years, humans have been listed as Class 4. That means fragile, limited, requiring special care. Yuna had heard this before. It was part of why aliens treated humans so carefully. After your demonstration, Pavos continued, I ordered a full review of the human entry. What I found was disturbing. The data was old, incomplete, based on assumptions, not evidence. He shook his head. We've been wrong about your species for centuries. He pressed another button. The hologram changed, showing a new entry. This is the updated human profile. I submitted it this morning. Class 2. High adaptability. Extreme temperature tolerance. Advanced endurance capabilities. Pavos looked at Yuna with something like admiration. Your people are not fragile, Lieutenant. You are survivors. Yuna felt a warmth in her chest. This was what she had wanted. Not fame or attention, but understanding, recognition. Thank you, she said quietly. Pavos nodded. There is more. The Thelki delegation has formally requested a human ambassador. They specifically asked for you. The Saran Trade Guild has proposed a new partnership agreement with better terms. And several other species had expressed interest in learning more about humanity. He leaned forward. You have opened doors that were closed for generations, Lieutenant. All because you drank cold water. Yuna laughed. It sounded ridiculous when he said it like that. But it was true. The meeting ended shortly after. Yuna stepped out of the commander's office and took a deep breath. The station hummed with life around her. Aliens moved through the corridors, carrying goods, having conversations, living their lives, but now they looked at humans differently. Not with fear or pity, but with respect. Vol appeared beside her. You have mail, he said. Personal communication from a human vessel. Yuna checked her device. It was Taiho. He was arriving at the station today. She found him at the docking bay an hour later. He stepped off his shuttle with a grin on his face and a cooler in his hand. I brought a gift, he said. He opened the cooler. Inside sat 2 bottles of beer, completely covered in ice. Yuna grinned. You didn't. I did. Figured we should celebrate properly. They walked to the observation deck, the same spot where Yuna had stood alone 1 week ago. Now, a group of aliens followed them at a distance, watching with fascination. Taiho handed her a bottle. It was so cold that frost formed on her fingers. She twisted off the cap, feeling the icy air escape. To humanity, Taiho said, raising his bottle. To drinking cold things without dying, Yuna added. They touched bottles and drank. The aliens behind them gasped. Some covered their eyes. Others leaned forward, amazed. A few started recording with their devices. Yuna did not mind. Let them watch. Let them learn. Let them understand that humans were not what the old records said. They were something more. Vol approached carefully after Taiho finished his drink. The insectoid looked nervous but curious. Lieutenant Park, he said. I have a question. Go ahead. What else can humans survive? I want to know the truth. Yuna thought about it. She thought about Earth, her home. The frozen mountains and burning deserts. The deep oceans and high atmospheres. The places where humans had walked, lived, and thrived. She smiled at Vol. You really don't want to know. Vol's wings twitched. I do, please. So Yuna told him. She told him about humans who climbed frozen peaks with their bare hands. About runners who crossed entire continents on foot. About divers who held their breath for impossible minutes. About explorers who survived in jungles, deserts, and Arctic wastes with nothing but simple tools. With every story, Vol's eyes grew wider. With every example, his clicking grew louder. By the end, he was shaking. Humans are terrifying, he whispered. Yuna put a hand on his shoulder. We prefer the word resilient. Taiho laughed and opened another beer. The aliens watching gasped again. Outside the observation window, the stars burned bright against the endless black. Ships moved slowly between the ports. The galaxy stretched out in all directions, full of wonders and dangers and mysteries. Yuna looked at it all and felt something she had not felt in a long time. Hope. Humanity was still small in the grand scale of things. One species among thousands. But today, they had proven something important. They had shown that size did not matter, that the old records were wrong, that humans belonged out here, among the stars, and if drinking ice water was all it took to earn respect, then Yuna was happy to do it again and again. She raised her bottle toward the window. To the future, she said quietly, and somewhere out there, in the vast and endless universe, the future waited, ready for humanity to arrive.